Terry Paxton Bradshaw was born on September 2, 1948, in Shreveport, Louisiana, into a blue-collar family where toughness wasn't taught, it was expected. His father, William Bradshaw, was a veteran of the U.S. Navy who worked hard to support the family, and from an early age, Terry showed the same grit. He was a rambunctious kid, full of energy, laughter, and mischief, but also a deep-rooted desire to be great at something. Anything. That something became football. As a boy, he would throw footballs through tires in his backyard for hours, mimicking the greats he saw on TV. He didn't just want to play quarterback, he wanted to be the best quarterback in America. And from that moment, he never stopped chasing it. At Woodlawn High School in Shreveport, Terry led the Knights to the state championship game and became one of the most highly touted quarterbacks in the country. His combination of raw arm strength, athleticism, and fiery spirit caught the attention of colleges nationwide. He committed to Louisiana Tech University, a small program without much national attention, but Terry didn't care about the spotlight. He wanted a chance to play and grow. And grow he did. At Louisiana Tech, he exploded onto the scene, throwing for over 2,800 yards in 1968, a staggering number for the time, and setting numerous school and NCAA records. Despite not playing at a traditional powerhouse, NFL scouts saw something in him. A cannon for an arm, a fearless attitude, and a rare ability to make something out of nothing. In 1970, Terry Bradshaw was selected as the first overall pick in the NFL draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise that, at the time, was more familiar with disappointment than glory. Pittsburgh had never won a championship and had only managed 8 winning seasons in their entire history. But all of that was about to change. The Steelers were in the early stages of building something historic under head coach Chuck Noll, and Bradshaw was chosen to be the face of that future. Still, nothing came easy. Bradshaw's early years in the NFL were rough. He struggled mightily with consistency, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns in his first few seasons. He was often booed by fans and criticized by the media for being too erratic, too reckless, too wild. The same gunslinger mentality that made him electrifying in college now made him a liability in the pros. He even lost the starting job more than once. But Terry never flinched. He kept his head down, kept working, and never stopped believing that he could lead the Steelers to greatness. What followed was one of the most iconic turnarounds in NFL history. In the mid-1970s, the Steelers assembled a team that would come to be known as one of the most dominant dynasties of all time. The defense, known as the Steel Curtain, was ferocious. The offense, under Bradshaw's growing leadership, became explosive. And Terry, who once seemed like an erratic thrower, developed into a big-game performer. In 1974, the Steelers won their first Super Bowl in franchise history, defeating the Minnesota Vikings. Bradshaw shared quarterback duties that season but made crucial plays when it mattered most. It was the beginning of a dynasty. The following year, Bradshaw took full command of the offense. The Steelers won Super Bowl X, defeating the Dallas Cowboys. Terry didn't have gaudy numbers, but his toughness was unmatched. He took vicious hits, stayed in the pocket, and made plays with grit and courage. Over the next few years, the Steelers continued to dominate the league, and Bradshaw became their unquestioned leader. In 1978, everything clicked. With the NFL moving toward more pass-friendly rules, Bradshaw flourished. That season, he threw for over 2,900 yards and 28 touchdowns, winning the league MVP award and leading Pittsburgh to a 14-2 record. In Super Bowl XIII, the Steelers once again faced the Cowboys in a rematch. Bradshaw was sensational, throwing for a then-record 318 yards and 4 touchdowns, earning Super Bowl MVP honors. A year later, he did it again. In Super Bowl XIV against the Los Angeles Rams, Bradshaw threw for over 300 yards and 2 long touchdown bombs that sealed the game and the team's 4th title in 6 years. By the age of 31, Terry Bradshaw was a 4-time Super Bowl champion and 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He had gone from being mocked and doubted to being the face of one of the greatest teams ever assembled. But his success came at a cost. Bradshaw played through numerous injuries, shoulder damage, wrist problems, concussions, and the hits took their toll. His style was fearless, sometimes reckless, and it left his body battered. By the early 1980s, the injuries piled up. In 1983, he underwent elbow surgery and returned late in the season. In his only game that year, he threw a touchdown pass and immediately felt something tear in his elbow. That would be the last throw of his career. Bradshaw retired in 1984, quietly and without fanfare. He didn't hold a press conference. He didn't want a farewell tour. He just walked away, satisfied that he had given everything he had to the game. His final numbers weren't eye-popping by modern standards: 27,989 passing yards, 212 touchdowns, and 107 wins. But numbers didn't define Terry Bradshaw. What defined him was his ability to show up when it mattered most. In 4 Super Bowl appearances, he threw 9 touchdown passes and only 3 interceptions. He played his best under pressure. He was tough, fearless, and clutch. After football, Bradshaw took a different path than many of his peers. Rather than retreat into the shadows, he stepped into the spotlight with a different gift: his personality. Bradshaw became one of the most beloved and recognizable figures in sports broadcasting. He joined the Fox NFL Sunday team, where his humor, honesty, and self-deprecating charm won over millions. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He made fun of himself, told stories, laughed loudly, and became a symbol of authenticity in a media landscape full of scripted commentary. He also acted in movies and TV shows, wrote books, and even released country music albums. Terry Bradshaw was no longer just a football legend. He was an American icon. But beneath the laughter and charisma was a man who had battled quietly with demons. In later years, Bradshaw spoke openly about his struggles with depression and anxiety. At a time when few athletes were willing to share such truths, he admitted that after his career ended, he felt lost, that the transition was harder than anyone could see. But by opening up, he helped destigmatize mental health for athletes and fans alike. He showed that even the strongest, most confident leaders can feel broken sometimes. And he showed that real courage doesn't just happen on the football field, it happens when you tell the truth. In 1989, Terry Bradshaw was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His induction was a celebration not just of stats or rings, but of resilience. He had taken the long road, from small-town Louisiana to national ridicule to football immortality. And he had done it with unshakable belief in himself and an unwavering love for the game. To this day, Bradshaw remains a towering figure in the sport, not just because of the championships, but because of the personality. He was never afraid to take risks. He wasn't perfect, but he was real. He played with passion, spoke with heart, and lived his life without filters. He became the model for quarterbacks who didn't fit the mold. He wasn't robotic. He wasn't clinical. He was human, and that made him unforgettable. Terry Bradshaw's legacy is more than 4 Super Bowl wins. It's about perseverance in the face of doubt. It's about rising to the biggest moments when the world expects you to fall. It's about embracing who you are on the field, off the field, broken, bold, loud, or vulnerable, and giving everything you've got. He didn't win pretty. He won tough. He didn't throw the most. He threw when it counted. He didn't ask to be perfect. He just asked for one more play, one more chance. And when the story of the NFL is told, among the legends who shaped its golden era, there will always be the man with the cannon arm, the southern twang, the contagious laugh, and the warrior soul. That name is Terry Bradshaw.